In a room of just 23 people, there is already a 50% chance that two of them have exactly the same birthday. Most people guess you would need hundreds of people for that to happen. Just 23 people feels wrong, but it is not wrong. And by the end of this episode, we will have exactly the tools to see why it is true, because the answer comes directly from the multiplication rule, which is one of the three things we cover in this episode. Hey, welcome back to Landfairs. If you're new here, we are working through the classic text Statistics by Freedman. And this whole new module is all about chance and probability. In the last episode, we laid some important foundations. We covered what probability actually means, where it comes from, and how it relates to statistics. In this episode, we cover three connected ideas that sit at the heart of probability. First, conditional probability, how you calculate the chance of something when a condition is already in place. Second, the multiplication rule, a simple method to figure out the chance that two things both happen. And third, independence, what it really means for two events to have nothing to do with each other. No heavy math, we walk through each idea with some concrete examples. Conditional probability answers a simple, specific question. Given that something has already happened, what are the chances of something else happening? Let us build the idea with an example from the textbook. A deck of cards has 4 suits: clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades. There are 13 cards in each suit. We have 2 through 10, jack, queen, king, and ace. So there are 4 times 13, that's 52 cards in the deck. Now, a deck of cards is shuffled and the top 2 cards are placed face down on the table. You win $1 if the second card is the queen of hearts. What is your chance of winning? Think about it this way. The bet is about the second card. You do not even need to look at the first card. And after a random shuffle, the queen of hearts is equally likely to be in any of the 52 positions, right? So the chance it shows up as the second card is 1 in 52. Now consider this scenario. You flip over the first card, it is the 7 of clubs. Now what is your chance of winning? Now things change. There are 51 cards left after we flip over the first card and it is revealed that it's 7 of the clubs. The queen of hearts is one of them and it's equally likely to be in any of those 51 remaining spots. So the chance of winning here goes up a bit, and in this case it is 1 in 51. That 1 in 51 is called a conditional probability. You now have a condition placed on the situation. The first card was the 7 of clubs. The 1 in 52 from the first scenario is called an unconditional probability. No conditions, no extra information. In mathematics, this is written using a compact notation. The probability that the second card is the queen of hearts is written as P of second card is queen of hearts. And the conditional version, given that the first card was the 7 of clubs, is written with a vertical bar like this. So probability of the second card is queen of hearts, given that first card is 7 of clubs. Another example, and this one is some tickets in a box. Let's us try a simple version. Imagine you have a box with 4 tickets numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then you draw 2 tickets at random without replacement. In the first scenario, we want to know what is the chance that the second ticket is a 4. Now, after a fair random shuffle, all 4 positions are equally likely for each ticket. So ticket number 4 has a 1 in 4 chance of landing in the second position, right? The probability of the second ticket coming up as 4 is 1 in 4. Now, in the second part, in the second scenario, we want to know what is the chance that the second ticket is 4, even the first one was 2. Now, ticket number 2 has been removed in this case, right? The box has 3 tickets left now, 1, 3, and 4, and each is equally likely to be drawn next. So the chance of drawing 4 now is 1 in 3. Now compare that to drawing with replacement. If you put the first ticket back before drawing again, the box always resets. It always has all 4 tickets. So the second draw always has a 1 in 4 chance, regardless of what happened on the first draw. Knowing what the first ticket was tells us nothing if we replace the ticket. Now let's look at a coin toss scenario. If we toss a penny 5 times and the first 4 are all tails, what is the chance the 5th toss is a head? Now the coin does not remember what happened before, right? So each toss is a fresh start. The chance of heads is still 1 in 2. This is the gambler's fallacy, the mistaken belief that past random outcomes influence future ones. They do not. A fair coin has no memory, okay? Now let's look at the multiplication rule. Now that we understand conditional probability, we can do something very useful with it. We can calculate the chance that two events both occur. Here is a basic setup. Imagine a box has 3 tickets, red, white, and blue. 2 tickets are drawn without replacement, okay? Now we want to know what is the chance of drawing red first and then drawing a white, okay? So the chance of drawing red first, then drawing white. Think about it this way. A large group of people, each holding their own box and drawing 2 tickets. About 1/3 of them will draw red, right, at the first draw. And then of that group, about half will then draw white. So the fraction who get red, then white is half of a third, which is 1/6. The chance is 1 in 6, or about 17%. That logic, multiplying the first chance by the conditional chance of the second, is called the multiplication rule. It simply says the chance that 2 things will both happen equal the chance that the first will happen multiplied by the chance that the second will happen given that the first has happened. So let us apply that to the game of cards. Imagine you draw 2 cards from a shuffle deck. What is the chance that the first one is the 7 of clubs and the second is the Queen of hearts? So the chance for the first card being the 7 of clubs is 1 in 52, right? Because there is only one 7 of clubs and the total possible outcomes are 52. So the chance for the 7 of clubs being the first card is 1 in 52. Now, given that has happened, the chance that the second card is the Queen of hearts is 1 in 51 because we have removed the first one. We know it's 7 of clubs, so what remains is 51 cards left. That's all possible number of all possible outcomes. And there is only one Queen of hearts, so the chance of the second card being Queen of hearts is 1 in 51. Now, the chance of getting both cards combined, meaning the chance that the first card is the 7 of clubs and the second card is the Queen of hearts, is 1 in 52 times 1 in 51, which is a small chance. It is 1 in 2,652, roughly about 4 in 10,000. Now, another example. Imagine you are drawing 2 cards. We want to know what is the chance that both are aces. Now, first, let's calculate the chance that the first card is an ace. What is the chance? Okay, we have 4 aces, and there are the number of all possible outcomes is 52. So there are 4 aces in 52 cards. So the chance that the first card is an ace is 4 in 52. Now, given one ace is already gone, you have already got 1 ace. The chance that the second also is an ace is what? It is 3 in 51, right? You have 3 aces left, remaining among 51 cards, okay? That's the chance for the second card be also an ace. Now, the chance that both cards are aces is 4 in 52 times 3 in 51, which is 12 in 2,652, which is about 1 in 200. That is about half of 1%, right? Now let's look at another example. We toss a coin twice, okay? We want to know what is the chance of heads followed by tails. So what is the chance of heads on the first toss? Simple, 1 in 2. And regardless of the first toss, the chance of tails on the second is 1 in 2. So the chance of heads first and then tails next is what? Multiplication rule. 1 in 2 times 1 in 2, which is 1/4, 25%. Now let's move on to independence. The core idea is what is happening when one event has no effect on the other. This section introduces a concept that will come up repeatedly throughout the rest of the course. So it's called independence, and it has a precise meaning in probability. So the idea is 2 things are called independent if the chance for the second given first remains same, no matter how the first one turns out. If it's not, the 2 things are dependent. Now let's unpack this with some examples. Imagine we toss a coin twice, and you win $1 if the second toss is heads. Now we want to know if the first toss is heads, what is your chance of winning? It's 50%, right? Regardless of what is the result of first toss. Now we want to know what if the first toss is tails? What is your chance of winning? What is your chance of getting a heads on the second toss? still is 50%. No matter how the first toss turns out to be, the chance of the second toss being heads is still 50%. So the result of the first toss changes nothing about the second. The chances stay the same regardless of what happens first. That is independence, okay? Let's look at another example. We make two draws with replacements from a box which contains 5 tickets, 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3. So in this case, because it's with replacement, okay, no matter what the first draw is, whether it is a 1, a 2, or 3, the box gets reset before the second draw anytime, right? Because it's with replacement. So the chance of drawing a 2 on the second draw is always, it is 2 out of 5 or 40%. The draws are independent, right? Okay, 2 out of 5. Why it's 2 out of 5? Because what are the number of favorable outcomes? The number of ways that 2, it can become a reality. The number of chances for 2 become a reality is 2. There are 2 chances because you have 2 tickets that are possible to come up, right? So that's 2. And then total number of draws, total number of possible outcomes is 5 because there are 5 tickets. So 2 out of 5 or 40%. Now, imagine the same box. Now, these times draws are made without replacement. So in this case, if the first draw is a 1, then the remaining box is 1, 2, 2, and 3. Then, so in this case, we have 4 tickets left, and the chance of drawing a 2 on the second draw is 2 out of 4 in this case, which is 50%. Okay, and if the first draw is a 2, in this case, the remaining box will become 1, 1, 2, and 3. Now, the chance of drawing 2 as the second draw is 1 out of 4 because there is only 1 ticket left in the second draw to be 2, and then there are total possible outcomes of 4, so 1 out of 4, which is 25%. The chances are different depending on what happened first, so the draws are dependent in this case, right? This gives us a clean general principle. When drawing at random with replacement, the draws are independent, okay? And without replacement, the draws are dependent. When 2 things are independent, the multiplication rule simplifies considerably. You do not need to think about conditional probabilities at all because the condition makes no difference. So if 2 things are independent, the chance that both will happen equals the product of their unconditional probabilities. This is a special case of the multiplication rule. Now let's go back to the example where we had a box with red and white and blue tickets. But this time we draw with replacement. So we have the same box, we have 3 tickets, red, white, and blue, and we draw 2 tickets with replacement this time. We want to know what is the chance of red and then white. What is the chance of drawing first red and then white? In this case, because we draw with replacement and the draws are independent, the chance of drawing red and then white is 1 in third, 1/3 times 1/3, which is 1 in 9. Compare that to the scenario without replacement, where the answer was 1/6, 1 in 6. So the method is the same. We use multiplication, but the numbers are different because independence removes the conditional adjustment. Now, let's consider the birthday problem again. In a room of just 23 people, there is a 50% chance that at least 2 of them share the exact same birthday. That feels wrong to most people. The reason it works is exactly what we covered today, the multiplication rule. Before showing that, first, it's good to note that in a room of 23 people, there are 253 possible pairs because each of the 23 people can be paired with any of the other 22. That gives you 23 times 22, which is 506. But since each pair gets counted twice, like person A paired with person B is the same as B paired with A, right? So we divide 506 by 2, and that gives us 253 possible pairs. So there are 253 separate chances for 2 people to share a birthday, far more than our initial intuition suggests. Now, to find the probability that no 2 people share a birthday, we multiply a sequence of conditional probabilities. The second person must differ from the first, the third must differ from the first 2, and so on and so forth. When we multiply those fractions together for 23 people, the probability of no match is about 49%, which means the chance of at least 1 match is about 51%. To simplify and prove the birthday problem, we calculate the probability that everyone has a different birthday and subtract that from 100%. So let's assume that a year has 365 days and each day is equally likely for a birthday, okay? Now in a room of 23 people, the first person can take any birthday, can take any day of the year, right? So what's the chance of the first person having any birthday? Of course, it's 365 out of 365 chance. Okay, now for the second person. The second person must have a birthday which is different from the first one, right? So what is the chance of second person having a different birthday from the first person? Of course, now it's 364 out of 365 chances. Okay, so one day is removed from our pool of possible days as a favorable outcome. The third person must have a birthday different from the first two. What is the chance of the third person have a different birthday from the first two? It's 363 out of 365 chance. And this sequence continues until the 23rd person, who has 343 possible days to choose from, right? If you don't want to have any two people having the same birthday. So the chance for the 23rd person having a birthday different is 343 out of 365. So if you do the calculation using the multiplication rule, we multiply these individual chances together to find the probability that no two people share a birthday. So the probability of no match is the multiplication of all these probabilities. And if you work out the calculation, this is approximately about 0.4927 or 49.27%. And the probability of at least one match is just the complement of no matches, right? We discussed that in simple terms in the previous episode. The chance of one thing happening is 1 minus the chance of the opposite. So probability of at least one match is 1 minus 0.4927, which is about 51%. This same logic shows up in medical testing, in insurance, and quality control. Anytime we are asking what is the chance that multiple things all go a certain way, we are using the multiplication rule. And anytime the outcome of one thing affects the chances of another, we are working with conditional probability. Now let's summarize what we covered in this episode. Conditional probability is the updated chance of any event given that you know something else has happened. The notation sometimes used in a technical context in mathematics is P of A given B. The multiplication rule says the chance that two things both happen equals the chance the first happens multiplied by the chance the second happens given the first. The chance that two things both happen equals the chance the first happens multiplied by the chance the second happens given the first. It is how we chain probabilities together across multiple steps or draws. And independence means the outcome of one event has no effect on the chances of another. When we draw with replacement, draws are independent. When we draw without replacement, draws are dependent. When events are independent, the multiplication rule simplifies. We just multiply the regular unconditional probabilities. These three ideas connect directly. In the next episodes, we will keep building on this foundation. For now, make sure you are comfortable with what conditional means and how to apply the multiplication rule, because both will keep showing up throughout the rest of the series. And that was it for today. See you next time.